Welcome to the Art of Gardening. I'm your host, Melissa Lalo Johnson, and I am very, very excited to share one of my greatest friendships with you, Amy Gray from Cannington Farms, who is my neighbor, my first very close friend here in Kansas City, and many, many other things. My sister for another Mr. Amy Gray. Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thanks for being
having
here.
me.
I appreciate it. So I've been really excited to share your property.
Yes.
Amy and I became friends when we first moved into our homes that we are a stone's throw, a very long stone's throw, away from one another. And Amy, it has been amazing to watch you build your farm and your farm life, your homestead life here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to also feature her property on a tour. So you'll be able to see all the beautiful aspects of her property. Her property is one of my favorite properties here in our area because she sits really high up atop of a hill, and she has 360-degree views. The sunset is in your the backyard. It's fantastic. So I'm really excited to show you that. But Amy, can you tell us about what farm life looked like? You met your husband. You guys were living in Australia. His father had been a sheep farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys came back here, and what happened?
So Tom is a New Zealander. Crazy. I know. I married a Kiwi. And he was living in Australia when I met him. I moved over there, spent several years over there with him. We got married, had our first baby, and then we moved back to Kansas City. And then we were like, now what? Luckily, he loved the area. There was a lot of farmland around. It felt like home for him. So we started the process of looking for land, kind of hard to find in Platte County. There's lots and lots of heritage farms, you could say, where it's passed down from generation to generation. So we probably looked about, I would say 10 places at least. And this place was not on the market. We scouted it. We liked the area. We had seen another place on the same street. And we said, what about that place right there? It's overgrown. Nobody's living on it. I wonder who owns it. So we scouted them out and called them up. And luckily they were of retirement age and were okay to sell. So we put in an offer and we got it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then, of course, it was covered and overgrown with thorny locust trees. So my dad and Tom and I spent over 2 weeks clearing at least 10,000 trees off the property. That sounds like a lot for 10 acres, but it's from sapling all the way up to full grown, massive thorns sticking out all over the place, thorny locust trees.
Yeah, so she's talking about the thorny locusts that make the really, really long thorns. And they're, really kind of a nuisance. So you came in to this beautiful piece of property. It was covered. You guys came in, cleared all the trees, got your pasture land back.
Right.
And then Tom's whole goal was to immediately start sheep farming, right?
Absolutely.
So then how many did you start with?
We only started with about 8 to 10. I think we bought it from a local person that's not too far away that had raised, a handful of sheep herself. And we bought about, like I said, 8 to 10 Suffolk sheep, which are the black face, white wool. Sometimes you'll get a black one here and there, but we really wanted to breed them and raise lamb. Tom grew up on a sheep farm in New Zealand, wanted to do the same thing here. So that's what we did.
And so now, fast forward to today, how many sheep do you have today?
Well, we've gone up to as many as like 75 or 80 with the lambs. Last year we bred 30 some ewes, and therefore they average around 2 a piece.
Okay.
So that's another 60 plus 30. So it's been
and so the high time for the numbers then is April. So you're breeding in November.
Yep. So the ram comes in November. Gestation gets it to about mid-April. A lot of farmers will do it earlier, but they also have a large barn that they can put the sheep in. We do not. So we want to make sure that the weather is half decent. And that's a whole process in itself. So,
and then fast forward today, the breeds of sheep that you have 2 different varieties. So tell us about that, and then tell us about some of the challenges and things that you've met along the way with growing your farm.
Sure. So with the sheep, we started out with the Suffolk, and we did that for several years, and they're a meat sheep. So you're going to get your lamb from the Suffolk side of things. They, don't have really nice wool, but they have the meat that you would want to be able to eat. And we got convinced by one of our neighbors who raises a sheep called the blue-faced Leicester, and she raises it for wool. And there's a market out there for it. So she let us borrow her ram, and we crossbred the Suffolk and the blue-faced Leicester. So kind of a mixed breed that was able to give us the meat and the wool that we wanted. Once we bred those, we noticed the wool became finer, not as fine as merino, but fine enough to spin and create yarn from and be able to make blankets. So yes, I know. We'll show everybody my blankets.
This is crazy that this came from your sheep.
I know.
This is insane.
I know. We're so proud of these. This is not dyed. So this is from a black sheep and a white sheep. And we just absolutely love it. This is a herringbone pattern. And we have a local gal do it on her own weaving loom.
Incredible.
And it's just, it's got all the facets of homemade, it's not a factory. You're going to get these little things in there where there's big pieces of wool sometimes like that. It's not 100% perfect, but wonderful. It's beautiful, and it does keep you warm. They're soft, but they're not like super soft that you wouldn't want to like have it like laying against your bare skin, but they will definitely keep you warm. So this is our lap blanket.
It's amazing. You have so much to be proud of.
Yeah, so it's a great we do a lot of different colors, but this is a natural one where it's came from a black sheep and a white sheep.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, that's really fun. We love the blankets and being able to do different things and utilize the wool in different ways.
And what are some other ways you can utilize the wool?
So when we first just had the Suffolk sheep, the wool's very fuzzy. It's not super nice against your skin, more itchy, I guess you could say. And so one year we made cat boxes for our outdoor cats to keep them warm. So we just took a plastic box, cut a little hole for them to go in and out, and we glued the wool against the box. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just fun. We like to utilize as much as possible on the farm.
Yes, and even with your food, the turning of all the different meals that you have, everything's kind of constantly going out to the farm. And so the sheep are one part of that. We've also got the chickens. So can you tell us a little bit about your chicken journey and how you started?
Well, we started out with just laying hens, and we only had like 6 to 10 of them in a small coop in our backyard. Really loved the farm fresh eggs and the different varieties that you could get. So in America, there's just a lot of white plain eggs that you get at a supermarket with very pale yellow yolks. And we really wanted to try farm fresh eggs. So we were kind of amazed at the differences in the yolks and the color. Once you have a farm fresh egg and see the difference, it's night and day. So farm fresh eggs will have a bright orange yolk full of nutrients. You can tell the chickens are out there foraging around and getting all the bugs and stuff. And they're just really healthy and great for you.
Yeah, so Amy has an egg delivery service, which a lot of us utilize around here. And one of my favorite things is when you open up that beautiful Cannington Farms box, it's just a rainbow of eggs. So can you talk to us a little bit about the different colors of the eggs? And then also one of the things that Amy taught me that I never knew was that you could keep eggs out in the kitchen for weeks, unrefrigerated. So can you talk about those two things?
Yeah. Absolutely. So for the colors, each different breed of chicken will lay a different colored egg. So most of the ones that you see in the supermarket used to only be white. Now there's some farm fresh eggs, and you'll see these brown organic egg laying things, which is great. So we started out with brown. Rhode Island Reds are really popular. They were the ones that we got from the farm store when we first started getting into the chickens. And then I really wanted to try all the different colors. You see all these different colors out there, and you're like, oh, I want to try that. And in order to do that, you can get them from a hatchery. And hatcheries are all over the place, and you can mail order your eggs and your chickens, basically. So you'll get them as baby chicks. They'll be a day or two old. They ship them as soon as they're born, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
And
they ship them USPS.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time you got them, you were like, I have to go to the post office. I have baby chicks at the post office.
It's so funny when you arrive and they're like, I need to pick up some chicks. And they're like, oh, they've been chirping. It's really, really cute.
And so what does that look like as far as like they arrive healthy? Are they?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay.
So they express them, they're the day after they ship, which is great. Usually they'll put in like a little packet. They call it like Nutrigel or something like that they'll pick on. They also ship them really close together because their body heat, they don't have feathers. They just have this like light fluffy down. So to keep them warm, they pack them in there. So they're up against each other, which is really kind of cool and crazy as well.
Sure.
So it's only like a little tiny box and you'll get like 25, 30 chickens in one little tiny box, which is nuts. So that allowed me to get like well summers, which are a dark brown egg with darker spots all over it. Easter eggers, which can do a blue or a green egg. And French copper Morans, which will lay like a chocolate brown egg. Now, I only have one of those, and she hasn't started laying yet, so I cannot wait to see that. But that will give you your rainbow of colors in your egg carton, which is really fun. They all taste the same.
They're so good. I mean, farm fresh eggs, I never really realized the difference. I mean, they're like buttery. They're buttery without butter. Yeah. It's like really strange, but like really good. So we love them.
I've got neighbors that their children will only eat my eggs.
I don't blame them.
We need Amy's eggs. So
I love it.
That's really fun. And then as far as leaving them out on the counter. So every egg, when it's laid, has a bloom on it. And it's just this little covering. It's clear. You don't see it at all, but it's covering the porous eggshell and keeping all the bacteria out. Once that has been washed off, you have to refrigerate your eggs. So if your egg comes out clean and it's in the laying box, you don't have to wash it. You can just set it in your carton on the counter or in like a fun little display, which is really cool. And they will last for 3 to 4 weeks out on your countertop, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And a lot of recipes also call for, room temperature eggs. Who knew?
I know, right? So then they're just ready to go. So tell us very quickly about your silky collection, like the silkies and that whole adventure, because they're so precious.
They are precious. We've lost a few to hawks because unfortunately their eyes are covered up, so they can't quite see as well when there's danger approaching. So they don't rush into the thing. So silkies are really fluffy. They've got this really funny top hat type thing on their head that's real like plumy, and they're just funny, and they're also super, super sweet and gentle, and they'll allow you to like hold them, and they can be like pet chickens.
Yes,
which is
like
really fun.
Which has been so fun. In fact, I've featured them a couple of times on my page, just holding them, and they're absolutely precious.
They also are really broody, so they like to sit on their eggs and have babies. They are like mother hens, they just want to do that. So we've raised a lot of different ones over the years that have been actually born and raised up by the mom on our property, which is really fun.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to us about the meat chickens and raising the meat chickens and what that looks like, because it is different from the other chickens.
Absolutely. So you have laying hens that are specifically for the eggs, and then you have meat chickens, which are raised up to be butchered and be made into chicken breasts and thighs and legs and all the fun things. So fast forward several years, hubby wants to try them, and we are in the meat chicken business because when hubby wants to do something, usually he gets his way.
He's the definition of a farmer.
Yes.
Loves the animals.
Certainly is.
So how many meat chickens do you raise at a time in your special
coop
box?
Yes. So we usually raise between 25 and 50 for ourselves. Sometimes we'll raise 2 batches, so we'll have 100 meat chickens at a time. And we do those with another family, which cuts down on the processing part. So there are things called chicken tractors. It's not a tractor. It looks, the only reason that they call it a tractor is because it has wheels on it. I don't know why, but it's basically a giant rectangle, about, I don't know, 2 foot tall, and you can fit between 25 and 50 chickens in there. And it's got chicken wire around it and a lid and all the things, several different lids. And you pull it, so it's on wheels, and you pull it every day and give them fresh pasture to forage in, eat grass, all the fun things. So they're healthier. They're not stuck in a cage the whole time. They're getting fresh air and fresh things to lay on and eat and all that kind of stuff. So we pull those around in a chicken tractor. And the crazy thing is that a meat chicken will be ready in 9 weeks.
That is wild.
9 weeks. Yeah. So from birth, we get them in the box and, from the post office, and 9 weeks later, we are processing them.
Okay. So what does that processing look like?
All right. So first you kill them. Don't like that process. They go down in a cone. So they're very calm. And then they bleed out, which is kind of crazy. Then they're dunked in a hot water around, I believe it's 145 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a water heater type thing that we dunk them in.
Okay.
And then it goes into a plucker. Tom, of course, tried to pass off a plucker for my Christmas present one year.
Well, you are a farmer.
I know. It's called a Yardbird. It's this giant machine. It's a big round cylinder, and it's got these like rubber fingers inside that will actually take off the feathers for you. So you're not hand plucking them, which is how they used to have to do everything. You drop it in there. It starts to spin. You throw water on it. It rinses off all the feathers, apart from the tail feathers, which you'll still have to pluck those out. And then from there, it goes into the gutting process. And then the next day, Tom actually butchers them. So he breaks it down into breasts, thighs, drumsticks, and tenderloins.
And then you guys vacuum seal them, and then they're stored in the deep freeze.
Yep.
For how long?
You can keep them for a year in the deep freeze, which is great. We process twice a year.
Okay.
Usually in the spring and the fall. And then that fall one gets us all the way through to the next one, which is, that following spring.
So moving into the pigs, is it a similar process with the pigs? How long do you have?
Yeah, they're a bit longer. I don't know exactly how long that we've kept pigs, but it does take a little bit longer. Ours are heritage. They're American guinea hogs. So they don't get quite as big as a normal pig would get.
About how much do they weigh? Roughly. Are they more than 100 pounds?
200 pounds,
really?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not that. Maybe
That's
not
wild,
quite that much, but.
I mean, they are big.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big, but
they're big. They're small. They're
they're
stocky.
Yes, they are stocky. They're short and they're stocky, but they're super cute.
They're built big.
So, so then those are processed, and Tom butchers those himself, right? That was part of getting them at that size to be able to do it, because sustainability has been your big
so
motto.
We want to be able to do all the things ourselves, not be reliant on a butcher shop, anything to process those things. So we ended up getting these pigs during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He convinced me to get pigs. They don't tear up the ground because they're a heritage breed. They do eat grass. They do forage a little bit, but they'll eat acorns and nuts and all kinds of different things that they feed, plus all of our scraps that we want to throw out from me cooking and stuff. So, and same thing with the cows. That's why we got the breed of cows.
Yeah. So what breed of cows do you have?
So they are called Aberdeens. They are a low line Angus, meaning they have shorter legs and they're not quite as big as a regular Angus. Again, so that Tom can process them himself and not have to have a butcher date.
Now, just backtrack, how many pigs do you have right now?
We only have like 3.
Okay,
so
3.
We don't raise them for anybody else but ourselves.
Okay. And then in the cows, how many cows do you have?
Let's see, we have 3. Yeah, we have 3 females, 1 male. And then we have 2 steers that are being raised for meat, and we have 2 bull calves. So they are boys, which will either be castrated so that they can be raised up for meat as well, or we may sell them as a bull.
Okay.
We have to make that determination at some stage before they get too big.
But then that's a process. I mean, it's a longer process. So you're raising them, which that's another thing. Driving around this property, it's not only just the views that in nature, the trees and the hills and the clouds and everything, but just seeing the views of when the sheep are running around in the spring and all the babies are together, and the cows, and it's just, there's so many facets of beauty on one piece of property, which is what's so magnificent. And COVID was really tough for a lot of people, and not to say it wasn't tough, here, but the way that you guys were able to just kind of grab a hold of a situation like that, and then you guys really grew and kind of expanded the farm through those 2 years into doing the meat chickens and the getting more of the cows and the pigs and bringing new things in has been amazing to watch. So aside from all the animals, one of the things that Amy is very well known for around here is her cooking. She's an unbelievable cook, baker. She likes to say she's not that great at baking, but she's wonderful. I always tell all of our new neighbors whenever they move in, if the Grays invite you over for dinner, do not say no. So Amy makes wonderful food, and I have always loved how you've taken what you grow very specifically outside and bring it in. So can you talk a little bit about the development of the strawberry patch and the blackberry, blueberries, all of the things?
Absolutely. So you have big, big goals as a gardener, as a vegetable gardener. We started out with a huge garden on the other side of our property. Great place to have it, up on a hill, great dirt. But we quickly realized that we had a toddler and a 3-year-old, and we weren't getting over there to weed it, and it just became overgrown. So we ended up giving that up. In our backyard and along our side yard, we have smaller patches. So we've got some raised beds in our backyard, and a big berry row on our side yard. And that keeps us busy enough, which is unfortunate. I would love a bigger garden, but at this stage in my life, it's not, I know, one day. I keep saying one day.
It's coming.
Anyway, so on the berries, the blackberries, mainly blackberries, we have 2 blueberry bushes and a handful of raspberries. The blackberries will overtake your yard if you're not careful, but we love them. We just love them. I love, trimming them. I love keeping them, looking pretty and pristine. But they are a lot of work. There's lots of weeds that come up. Some years are better than others.
And tell us about the Japanese beetles, because that's a huge deal with the blackberries and what you've done to help mitigate that.
So we used to not have to worry about Japanese beetles. That was not a thing when I was growing up. They have migrated from the East Coast. They came over on what?
2010.
What did they come over?
Sighting. I have no idea. Oh, I have no idea.
From Japan, in like some sort of a plant of some sort. They came over, they established themselves here, and they are terrible. So they love like a gazillion plants, roses and blackberries and cherry. They
everything
like
we love, they
everything.
love, unfortunately.
So I started this berry plant, plot, and everything's going good. And then all of a sudden they're eating all of my leaves, and I'm like, what do I do? So I finally found a huge net, and it's like almost a screen net. It's very, the blocks are very tiny, but not super, super tiny. And I just got a big row of it, like a big long thing of it, and we pin it down with lawn staples, and it stays there, which is
helps to keep the beetles out, so that they don't eat everything. Yeah,
so
for sure.
It does make it a lot easier. And like I said, some years are better than others. But I bring all of the berries in, either freeze them or make jams. I also like to make blackberry syrup for cocktails, because I also grow a lot of herbs, and you can make all kinds of fun things with those. Or sodas for the kids. Yes. If you guys have not made your own homemade soda, it is so good. You just make a syrup. So blackberry, I did elderberry syrup this year, which was fantastic. Or no, sorry, not elderberry, elderflower syrup, which was really fun. And then mix it with sparkling water, and you've got a homemade soda, which is fun for the kids and yummy to add some, to your cocktails, I guess,
absolutely.
Which is really fun.
One of my favorite memories, when Amy and I first became friends, which was a long time ago, it was the beginning of 2012. So we had just, each of us within a few months' time, had moved into our properties. And we were the only people around these parts with young children. And so the Grays invited us over for dinner. And Amy had, when she had the big garden in the back, had grown fingerling potatoes and hand pressed, cut the fingerlings in half, coated them in oil, and hand pressed a sage leaf onto them and baked them. So when we arrived with this beautiful spread of fingerling potatoes, freshly baked with, I believe you made steak and some, I mean, it was this incredible dinner. And that just set the tone. I always think about that because it was just so unique, but so simple, taking something so simple and making it, and it was so delicious. So I love always, and I love being the beneficiary always of trying all of every time I come over, it's like, hey, you got to try this, you got to try that. So it's been great to see, as someone who doesn't cook and bake and particularly enjoy doing that, to have a very good friend and neighbor who does enjoy it is really a great perk. So, and one of the reasons that we're doing this series with the tours is to be able to show people, if you're going to purchase property, why not look at buying a farm? Why not look at starting a homestead? And so we're going to be touring different properties around here, right here in Missouri, so that people can see the different types of ways that you can purchase recreational land and farmland and be able to explore that. So that being said, Amy is a wonderful farmer. She's got lots of things going on here, but she also has something else that's very dear to her heart that I would love to talk about. Can you tell us a little bit about what you and Tom have created with Make 48 and what that does?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. We could talk forever about it, but I'll keep it nice and short. We created an innovation competition that lasts 48 hours. And by 48 hours, I mean, we actually have a giant clock that says 48 and we start it. And then teams have 48 hours to build a prototype that solves the challenge that we give to them at the start of the 48 hours.
Which may be something like, what's a typical?
Okay, so the last one was build an outdoor activity or game that can be played in winter.
Amazing. Okay. So then you have these multiple teams. They have 48 hours to do.
Yeah, so they have to build a prototype. Not everybody's a builder. How is that done? Well, we have a secret sauce that we call the tool tech. So we bring in all these specialists who know how to run CNC machines and 3D printers, are woodworkers, they are epoxy artists, all kinds of different things to help the teams build any idea that they can come up with. So you, as a working mom, may have a great idea for anything. Maybe a new stroller accessory, okay? You're a brand new mom. And you're like, how do I do that? I have no idea what to do. So we're teaching people the process of innovation. What do you do next? How do you collaborate to make big ideas become reality?
Amazing. And so where can we see this show? Because it is a televised show on PBS.
Yes.
And also
Roku.
Okay, great.
So we started out as a PBS television documentary. So we are reality TV, not the fake stuff that you like to watch all the time. Busted. But we really wanted to show the process and teach people this process of innovation. So we became a documentary series on PBS. We're in our 5th season. You can watch season 5 on pbs.org or on local PBS stations throughout the country. And you can also watch all of our old episodes on a channel called This Old House Makers Channel, which is on Roku's app. So Roku has an app just like Netflix does. You don't have to subscribe to it. It's a free thing. Great. You get on there and you can scroll to their live TV on channel 458 and it's This Old House. So to all those people who don't know what This Old House is, you're not as old as us. But if you are as old as us, you know that This Old House is and was and has been for the last, God, I think they're like 40 years old.
Long time.
Have been on PBS talking about building old houses and renovating things and all things building, which is kind of cool. So they have a new channel for all those makers that are out there that are building things. They've got all these YouTube channels and Instagram pages that they're these famous makers, and we are on that station with them.
So you can check out, if you're interested in learning more, social media, Facebook and Instagram is at Go Make 48. Mm-hmm. So Go Make 48. And then for Cannington Farms, if you want to see more about what Amy's doing around the farm, lots of great content on her page and how-tos and recipes and all kinds of great things. That is Cannington Farms on Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we have so much more to come with you. I mean, just so many more things to talk about in the tour. So we hope you'll join us for the tour. And it is a brutal, brutal social media world out there. So if you have enjoyed or learned something from what you've seen today, if you could be so kind as to leave a comment, a like, a subscribe, show us a little bit of love, we would really, really appreciate it. So Amy, thank you for taking your time out of your day today to be with us. And thank you for everything, your friendship, and for tagging me along on your farm homesteading adventures.
Oh, we have so much more to talk about. We have so many like interests, which is really fun. So
yes, she
we'll
is
get into that.
My sister from another mister. So right here. But thank you so much.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. And check out both of our pages and see what's out there. We're excited to show the world what we love.
Yes, lots of good things. So thank you again for joining us on another episode of Art of Gardening, and we'll catch you next time.